So I want to welcome you to Swagology 101. And let me explain first what Swagology is. I'm a swagologist, and swagology is the study and practice of swag as it pertains to the psychology of business. Now, I know that a lot of people think about swag and it's like great free stuff. I love my hoodie and don't think too much further about it, but that's okay because there are people like me out in the world who are there to help our clients and help the business community understand how to really execute and get value out of swag. Swag is a physical connection in the digital age. It's tactile. And one of the things that we've seen in the last year or so, since everyone's gone virtual, is that when we're doing all of these virtual events, to have a physical connection, quite often something show up in your home and that connects in theme and properly aligns with the content of an event that's gone virtual, it really helps create that connection, because we need to touch, we need to smell, we need to hear, we need to use all of our senses, and that will help support the information that is being presented on scene, on on the screen. So first, I want to give some primary valuable uses and that you've seen every day for merchandise. The first is for affinity. We see sports merchandise. I'm sure that anyone who has a favorite sports team, they have the jersey or the hat or other merchandise. And it's one of the largest money makers for the professional sports world. Brands such as Coca-Cola and John Deere have risen, elevated swag to another level, to the point where there's a lot of value and collectible value in certainly some of the older merchandise back from the 50s and 60s that these brands have put out. So affinity to a brand is one primary use. Culture. And here's a word that's been used over and over again. So we can use the swag as a physical representation of culture. And that's why it's very important that swag be aligned with your messaging and with your brand. That guitar top, that Gimme Swag World Tour guitar, was something that we used during an event with Spotify. And it was a contest piece that was given away at the end of a 2-day event. But we were connecting with the world of Spotify and wanted to make sure that we were in alignment with them. The piece on the bottom left, which I absolutely love, this was a candle that was used for Earth Day. And the idea being is the candle, that the packaging represents a condominium. And as that candle is being removed, the condominium goes dark. And then, of course, the candle gets used when the lights go out on Earth Day. So there are, a lot of creativity and a lot of creative elements that go into this. And when you do that, you can see how you can get some tremendous impact and alignment with these things. Keep on going the wrong direction. Justine made a point of saying that, awards and recognition aren't really something that she strives for. And yes, it's probably true to a certain extent on a conscious level, but we also heard the pride in her voice. And at a subconscious level, being awarded and recognized for something that you pour your heart into is tremendously valuable. You see here the Academy Awards, and they're probably the most well-known award piece out there. So incentivizing, whether it be for recognition and awards, or in creating a reason to take an action. I'm trying to drive someone towards an action. And you'll see up there, there's a 1/64th scale model of a rider truck that was used by riders, an account-based marketing or a direct marketing tool. They were able to get their account team 30% of the people that received, it was a highly targeted list of executives that received that truck as part of a larger direct marketing piece, set up appointments, and they had somewhere to the neighborhood of about an 8% signing after that. So 2.5% signed, and we're talking about some very, very large contracts. I can tell you that bottom left piece, you see that cute little guy, his name's Pete, and he was a little stress reliever. So on the top, we saw something that might cost a fair bit. On the bottom, Pete was a very expensive piece that went out to a lot of people and basically said, hey, I'm Pete, I'm on. And it was something that created a greater than 33% success rate, success being people accepting a meeting with one of our account representatives. So you can see that, again, when done properly, we can drive actions. Okay, event merchandise, the concert T-shirt is as well known as anything else in the world. To the right, there's something from a corporate event as a goodie box. But what happens is that you go to an event, you have that event, whether it's a night at a concert for your favorite band, or whether you go to a corporate event, and then the event is over. But the merchandise remains, and it provides memories for years and years and years to come. You know, there was a great little story that I have about recently. My wife and I were in the house, and we saw something way out behind the house, and I said, hey, why don't you grab those binoculars that Tim gave you and see if you can figure out what that is. And those binoculars were a gift that were given to my wife. Her name's Patty, and she's my partner in everything, including this business. I said, why don't you go and grab Tim's binoculars? Tim gave her those binoculars over 15 years ago. So the power of a touchstone, of a memory, of something that happened 15 years ago because it connected with those binoculars. Exclusivity. The ability to, we all want to belong, and when we have things that we're particularly proud of, like we earned, or we just love the brand story of Glossier. It's become a cult brand of and we use those skincare products. We want to show the world that we're in that group, that we belong in a certain way. And so again, that is a tremendous use of that. So those are some of the key uses there. I talk about a lot of those things had to do with culture, and I did want to touch on a lot of what Samantha was saying about the importance of employees feeling like they belong and that they're aligned with something. So employer branding, which is becoming a huge part of what we do, and we've seen the spend in employer branding go up many-fold over the last few years. And as a matter of fact, just the term employer branding and the position of head of employer branding or VP employer branding, those positions did not exist a few years ago. So it just goes to show you how important these things are. And, whether that's the new hire kit or some other piece of merchandise that connects you to the brand, these are things that an awful lot of money, over $25 billion in the US annually, is spent on. And I'm not sure what the global spend is, but the numbers would go along with that. So let's talk a little bit about strategy. I think you can see from what I was just talking about that, there's, if you've ever been to a trade show or an event and people have just been, shoving things out there into your hand, that's really not a strategy. That's, and that's unfortunately some of the things people think about. They go, oh yeah, here, have a pen. We don't do that, right? Well, the concept of strategy behind Swag is the same as strategy with anything else you do in your business or in your life. You identify a problem, you identify what the desired outcomes are, you create a budget, you create a plan, you execute on that plan, and then you measure. You calculate the return on investment, and you tweak, and you rinse and repeat. And that is like any other marketing strategy. There's a lot of value to be extracted. So if we follow the basics that we all know about marketing and how to execute in business, make sure that we have plans, then we're going to be successful in whatever we do. Nalini wanted this to be all about what's different today and looking back and looking ahead as 2022. I'll tell you, she mentioned one of the challenges that we had to deal with in the last year and a half is complete change when you're going from not a digital world, but a physical world, where instead of shipping perhaps 1,000 items to one place, we're now shipping one item to 1,000 places. So there's a lot more logistics. The challenges of distributed audiences. People are now working from home. We have virtual events. We're starting to have hybrid events. And I think it'll be a long time until, if ever, that we return to a world where everything is focused in person. There will likely be a balance between work from the office, work from home, in-person events, and participating at least in some track in an event through virtual means. So this distributed audience will continue to create some logistical challenges. And what we're going to see and continue to see as far as challenges is scarcity in inventories. We've all heard about the global shipping crisis. It is a real thing. It is extremely difficult and become much more expensive to move things around. There are labor shortages as, a lot of the perhaps lower, I don't want to say lower value, but lower paid jobs in things like manufacturing or in warehouse and fulfillment. It's difficult for people to find people. So the capacity is continuing to get squeezed. What we're seeing out of that is a lot longer lead times and higher costs. And the only thing that we could really say about that is that planning is more important today than it has ever been, because there's going to be a real bottom line dollar cost if you don't do it. It's no longer possible. 2 years ago, if you called me and said, Glenn, we've got an event, what's today, Thursday? We've got an event on Tuesday. Can you figure out some way to get something happen? We'd say, yes, we could do that. We had an incredible amount of capacity to produce stuff in 24, 48 hours. That capacity is completely gone. The habits have to change. And because we're shipping out to individuals and because shipping costs are going up so much, the opportunity or the need to use slower shipping methods like the mail systems, postal systems, rather than UPS and FedEx and DHL for everything, are also creating extended lead times. So the word is plan, plan, plan. Allow 2 months, 3 months, 4 months to execute programs, and you'll be in a far better situation, and you'll have a lot healthier budget. You don't want your money going towards logistics. There's no tangible value to recipients in logistics. There's tangible value in the items that they get to receive. Other things that we would love to talk about in 2022, because this is finally where we're going in the world, is social responsibility, sustainability. Sustainability is incredibly topical today finally, we're all realizing what the heck is going on out there. And we had to, there's been a little bit perhaps of a backlash on merchandise. People say, well, why are we producing all of this stuff? And but we have ways of focus doing things in a more sustainable way. Got some very large clients. They have global presence, especially we've seen in the past out of the USA where companies would just send everything from the US. It's expensive. It creates a large carbon footprint, and there's also importing and border costs. So try to do things locally. Try to do things within your own country, within your own city. If you have offices all over the world, look for a partner that has offices locally where you're doing business and that can execute locally for you. Focus on, as I mentioned earlier, we're in a digital world, and digital marketing is fantastic, especially at the top of the funnel. We can attract a lot of people, but business is still built on relationships. And swag comes in more often at a place much further down the funnel. And so what we always say is be a sniper. Don't pull out the shotgun. Spend more per target. Think about the 80-20 rule, right? Where 80% of your results are going to come from 20% of your respondents. And focus on better targeting and doing things that are going to drive your response rates higher. Focus on demand. Make people respond. Don't just throw things at them. Make sure they're engaged and, down the pathway before you start using promotional materials and swag with them, because you're going to end up being, again, able to spend more on better qualified and have a better closing rate, response rate based on those people. And then the products themselves, one of the things, and our focus is in the last year, has been to increase our partnerships with social impact enterprises and vendors. And one of the areas we focused on is upcycled and recycled materials. So as you see that bag in the picture there, that's made completely of upcycled inner tubes from tires. That was designed by Kenneth Cole and produced by one of our social impact partners in Haiti. You want to use non-disposable products, and if possible, products that are replacing disposable bottles, disposable products. That bottle is produced by one of our partners, Ocean Bottle. And so not only are they replacing single-use plastic bottles in the marketplace with these bottles, but they're actually investing from the revenue from these products, money back into another partner called Plastic Bank, who creates sustainable work for people in places like the Philippines, in Central America, to remove plastics from riverbeds and nearshore plastics, and then recycle those plastics. So not only are we using something instead of plastic, the proceeds of that purchase is going to remove for each ocean bottle, it's 25 pounds, 11 point something kilos of plastic from the ocean. And then finally, as we talk about social responsibility, is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And make sure that, again, in tying into whether it's employer branding or whether it's customer-focused branding, that we're recognizing the shift in who our clients are, what they identify with, what they are not just identifying with, because I think those things have always been out there, but in such a way that we're not speaking about them and putting them out there and saying that this is who we are. We're looking for companies who are going to support us in the way that we are, in who we are, in the challenges that we've encouraged in the past. And again, a big way that you can focus on that is by looking for those social impact enterprises. As I mentioned, we partnered with well over 30 of them in the past year who are in places such as Haiti, Guatemala, India, Malaysia, Rwanda. And what these organizations are doing is that they are training and hiring and giving employment opportunities to people who are coming out of marginalized communities and situations so that they can make fair wages, so that they can get out of marginalization into mainstream communities and build lives for themselves and their families. So that is a very, very important way that, and all of this is able to be achieved with some swag. So in review, I'd like to say leverage the emotional impact of your swag. Make sure to strategize to get the maximum effectiveness. Plan, 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 be prepared, embrace social responsibility, and most of all, have fun. I mean, it's swag. This is the best job in the world that I have. I get to deal with people in an area of their job that is often just the best part of their day. So enjoy it. It's great. Have fun.